Hello, I'm Anthony. Today I want to carry on a conversation that I began in October of last year, approximately 10 months ago. I made a video in which I discussed the use of ChatGPT in the writing of lyrics. The song that I'm going to give you a little demo of today is the final song that was the subject of that conversation at the time. AI has moved on a lot in the last 10 months. As we all know, it's an exponential growth system, and so even the instance of the engine that I used 10 months ago to generate the lyrics that I spoke about then is now laughably out of date. It kind of doesn't particularly matter. What I want to talk about is the consequences of making that decision to use ChatGPT in the first place, to use an AI engine to help me in the creative process. I'm having an ever increasingly difficult time with this concept, and I'm on the verge of essentially going back to the dark ages in the respect of abandoning much of the automation and computerized processing that I've increasingly come to take for granted over the decades that this slow and insidious creep has taken place. We're at the point now where I'm thinking to myself, if I let this go any further, there is literally just no point in me carrying on. I might as well let the computer just write the music for me. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. I want to slow down, take it back a step. I'm going to play you a little section of this song. The song's called Chasing Dreams. That title was itself generated by ChatGPT. After I played you this little excerpt of the song, we're going to go back to compare the output from ChatGPT from the video that I discussed with the final version of lyrics that I've actually settled on. Have a listen in particular to the first line of the song. That's exactly as generated by AI.
In the soft light of the moon and the whispered kiss of evening, with the sand beneath our feet and the ocean's lazy tune.
What we have here is essentially a distillation of what ChatGPT came up with. It's not exact because it was an iterative process. The first line of the song, In the Soft Light of the Moon, became exactly the first line of the song in the final produced version. I saw absolutely no reason to change it. It's a great line. It sings really well. At the time, I was comfortable using AI for this purpose. I have to say, and kind of spoiler alert, I'm not going to do this again. I don't think I'm going to use ChatGPT in quite such a collaborative way as I did then. I'm going to use it purely to get me up and running, to get me past blank canvas syndrome. But I'm not happy with the fact that it came up with the first line of the song. I'm not happy with the fact that it came up with the title of the song. Chasing Dreams in the Night was the line that ChatGPT came up with. Basically, those are the two lines of the song that are the most unchanged. But the first line of the song and the title of the song are pretty damned important, and it kind of rankles me. I mean, not enough for me to have actually done anything about them. I've not thrown them away. But it's an interesting historical footnote. I am uncomfortable with the idea of AI being that involved in my creative process. At the time, I mitigated that feeling by stepping in occasionally and inserting lines specifically that had nothing to do with AI. This line in square brackets, for example, was written by me. It came up with an idea for the fourth line of the chorus. I literally overwrote it with this new line of mine. I kind of considered at the time that was enough exercise of control on my part to make me okay with all of this. The problem is you can baby step your way into oblivion. Let's view like a couple of years in the future, perhaps, the point at which ChatGPT is sufficiently skilled at the creation of lyrics to require no further involvement from me. What happens if every line it comes up with absolutely nails it? When we get to the stage where we can sit back, put our feet up, and let the computer do everything for us, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to stop saying we, actually, I feel like I've surrendered any kind of artistic integrity in that process. Now, that doesn't mean anything superficially. What it does mean, however, is that I've also surrendered the ability to be satisfied with that project. The aspects of this song that were given to me by AI leave me unsatisfied. They make me feel like this song isn't entirely mine, in a way that every other piece of music I've ever written doesn't make me feel that way. But this then exposes potentially a much deeper flaw in my reasoning all along. What happens if I use, for instance, a completely laid out drum groove? Have you done exactly the same thing there? Have you surrendered too much of your artistic creativity? Well, the way that I justified it in the past, and to be absolutely honest, this is still a blurred area, but the historical reason why I've been okay with that is because I'm not a drummer. I want to write music and I want to use rhythms and, in some cases, entire acoustic kit sounds in the composition of music. I don't want to learn how to be a drummer. I don't particularly want to learn how to input digital drums. That's not my bag. I don't get any joy from that, so I'm not going to invest a huge amount of time doing something that doesn't give me any pleasure. But I do want to write a song using drums. Well, because of my autism and my inability to interact with other musicians, I've also done a video about being an autistic musician. I'll put a link to that as well. So it all has to come from me. So if I want rhythms in my songs and I can't get somebody else to do them for me, I'm pretty much going to need to use loops or some sort of plugin based assistant. I accept that, and I've always been okay with it. As this whole AI debate comes out in my mental wash, I'm probably going to carry on being okay with it as well. What I'm not okay with is saying to the computer, use your creativity, however you want to define the current state of AI creativity, use your creativity to give me an output, a defined result that I will then subsume within my own music. At that point, I'm no longer a solo musician. And to be absolutely honest, it's going to become increasingly easy to do that. And so more and more people are going to do it. So what's my level of discomfort then? Why do I care? Well, the answer is entirely introspective. I've defined my own set of criteria for the achievement of artistic satisfaction. I've answered my own question, how difficult do I want this thing to be? Think of it like playing a video game. You have the opportunity to say, I want it to be this difficult. If I'm playing Forza Motorsport, I want to have an easy time and beat all of the opposition, or I want to play at full simulation level and have a very difficult time beating the fastest cars. Well, that's entirely my own decision. I'm deciding how difficult it's going to be. When I sit down to write a piece of music, I want the process to be challenging. If it's not challenging, it's not going to be rewarding. I've mistaken the challenge of writing lyrics, which I consider to be the hardest part of songwriting, as a negative, and that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have decided that one part of this artistic process was too hard and therefore I shouldn't try to do it. This has caused me to sidestep into an excuse. I've allowed myself to interact with ChatGPT and have it output lyrics to me because I found it to be a solution to a perceived problem. If I flip that problem on its head and say, well, the challenge is the art, the whole reason why you get such a great level of satisfaction out of writing a song with lyrics is that it's bloody hard. When I write instrumental music, a lot of the music that I write these days is actually electronic instrumental music. And I love writing that music because it's more relaxing, it's less challenging. Now, I've never gone so far as to rank my own preferences for the music that I've written, but I'm absolutely certain that the top 5 pieces of music that I've ever written will all be songs with lyrics, because I feel like I've been through a war to get that thing finished. It's so difficult for me that I have an enormous sense of satisfaction that I've overcome that level of challenge. I'm not able to do that every day. I don't have that level of energy every day. And so writing instrumental music is a great mindfulness exercise for me. It allows me to relax and do the thing that I love doing without the, you can call it stress if you want, or challenge of writing something that's much more difficult and that involves lyrics. In the very near future, AI is going to acquire general intelligence. A lot of this stuff that we're discussing at the moment is going to become largely moot because basically it's going to get to the stage in not a very large number of years where AI is capable of doing everything that we can. What if you could say to ChatGPT, write me a song better than anything the Beatles ever wrote, or better than anything Led Zeppelin ever wrote? Here is the entire body of work of those musicians breaching all sorts of copyrights. And it achieves that. It produces the greatest Beatles song there's ever been. It's entirely possible that we will live in a world where that can be done. And so what do we do as humans? Where do we gain our satisfaction? Well, it comes entirely from our own internal compass. Stage 1, decide how difficult the thing is going to be. Stage 2, engage in the artistic endeavour that meets all the criteria of stage 1. Define your own set of rules and then try to stick to them. It's so easy to say, what's the point of that? You can break your own rules. You can do anything that you want. Well, I'm flipping that on its head and saying it could very well be that that's where the good stuff is. Every time I've ever written a lazy piece of music where I've taken a sequence from here and a drum loop from here and chucked it all together, played it in C major and just whacked out 2 5/1s, it's boring. You can write a very accomplished, perfectly reasonable piece of music using absolutely basic harmonic theory really, really quickly. The sounds are so incredible these days. You can pick up these enormous blocks of pre-constructed sounds. Some of the stuff you get out of like Native Instruments Machine, for instance, you get more or less complete songs and you think, well, what else is there for me to do? I'm just no longer interested in any of that. I'm paring it down to the absolute basics. The important point to take out of all of this, however, is that your own rule set is yours. I'm not trying to impose my rule set on anybody else. I'm not telling anybody else that it's wrong to use ChatGPT to generate lyrics, or it's wrong to take an entire pre-constructed rhythm and drop it into your piece of music. If that gives you satisfaction and it makes you happy, then that's absolutely wonderful. I'm discovering that the more I lean on computers, the less happy I am, and so I'm going to do it less. It's a pretty straightforward equation, and we'll see how we go. Maybe in 12 months' time, I'll review it again and I'll kind of let ChatGPT back into my life in a limited fashion. I don't know, that's a tricky one, because the blank palette syndrome is real and it's an absolute nightmare when you stood there and you just can't get going. So maybe it's okay to just give yourself a little bit of a nudge from time to time. But I'm not going to let this thing happen again where it writes the title of my song for. And I'm going to keep the title of the song as Chasing Dreams because it's a salutary lesson not to do it again. Anyway, that'll do us for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's been a bit of a long ramble, but thanks for sticking with me. I'll see you again.